So I want to begin with a parable from my own life. So years ago, maybe 15 years ago, I was at the beach with some of my friends, maybe in Florida, I think. And I had spent a few days with these friends, and being the introvert that I am, after I spend a few days with people, I need some alone time, especially some alone time to just kind of be quiet with God. And so even though we were on a crowded beach, I decided to go for a walk, just to be by myself and to pray. So I kind of went for a walk along the beach, and I'm sure I was like singing a worship song in my head and just kind of like enjoying the time. And sure enough, the beach started to get much more remote. There were very few people around. And as I was walking, I noticed a family on the shore that was dressed kind of traditionally as if they were either traditional Mennonites or an Amish family. And I didn't think too much of it, and I just kind of stopped and was like playing around in the sand. But then I noticed that the mother was walking toward me, and she came over to me, and she was in long sleeves, and of course I was in a bathing suit, and she said to me, "Excuse me, for the health and the sanctity of my husband and our boys, could you please walk away?" And so a whole lot of things went through my mind at that moment. That was probably my first experience of shame. I remember my face got hot and I just felt like, is me wearing this bathing suit, does that make me unholy? I felt embarrassed, like my presence or my body on that beach was now like something that had to be dealt with. This family had to deal with my presence. I felt maybe a little bit defensive, like here I was just like having a prayer walk by myself on a public beach. I don't remember, but maybe I might have felt a little bit of like self-righteous pity, like, oh, this poor Mennonite woman in these long oppressive sleeves, doesn't she know how theologically inept this position is? Maybe I thought that. But what I remember thinking the most, like what just flooded my being, was this thought looking in her face of like, I'm a Christian too. Like, you may think I'm just like some secular teenager in a bikini on the beach, but like, I love God a lot. Like, a whole lot. Like, I'm going to become a pastor. I love God so much. Don't you see the cross around my neck? Like, she didn't know who I was. But I had studied Mennonites and Amish communities in my religion class in seminary. And I actually remembered my professor saying that in a lot of Christian traditions, one of the ways that you honor and respect the body is to keep it covered. In fact, he had said something like, there was a time when clothing wasn't glorified shrink wrap. And so as she was making this request of me, I kind of understood where she was coming from. And I think I sort of realized that I was doing my best to be a Christian, and she was doing her best to be a Christian. And so when she asked me to kind of move along, I said okay, and graciously just kind of continued my walk down the beach. It was a reasonable request, and it didn't ask me to compromise too much of who I am. So one of the reasons that I bring that story up, that parable, is because of the power of understanding. Just having studied her religion a little bit really helped me understand where she was coming from and helped me to honor her request. In fact, it helped me better love her. Another reason I bring up this parable is because I think that in some small way, this parable has given me just a little glimpse of what it may be like to be a gay or lesbian or queer Christian. Because I think at some point in time, most LGBTQ Christians have felt some sense of shame. That there is something about their body or their sexuality, the way that it is or that it behaves, that is like a place of shame. And the church can be a place where they feel that shame most poignantly. Second, I think for some gay and lesbian Christians in the church, there is a sense of embarrassment that their presence is like sort of an issue that has to be dealt with. So many years ago, the Methodist General Conference debated the question of whether or not to ordain women as pastors, and you can actually read through the transcripts of this event, And what a strange thing it must have been to be a woman in that space as your gifts and your vocation are sort of being debated as an issue on this kind of stage. Homosexuality is not an issue, it's people. And I'm convinced that LGBTQIA people are first and foremost themselves a gift to the church, because they're God's children, and so of course they're a gift to the church. But I also believe that homosexuality is a gift to the church, because anything that can invite us to do some deeper work and deeper reflection and really consider the meaning of our mission, that can be a gift to the church. And finally, I think for many gay and lesbian Christians, they might identify with that feeling that I got as I was looking this woman in the eyes and wanting to say, I'm a Christian too. Like, you may not know me or understand me in the way that I practice my faith, but I'm a Christian too. As one LGBTQ person shared with me, there's just no correlation between my sexuality and my faith in God. And so with that parable in mind, it leads us to this idea that's called faith-seeking understanding. The idea that our faith is going to help us better understand people. Faith leads us to a deeper understanding of people. And I think one of the best expressions of that is the prayer that's attributed to St. Francis of Assisi, who prays, Lord, let me not so much seek to be understood as to understand, because understanding is a way of love. Thank you.